right, good morning. My contemplation this morning is on shrimp exports. Nigerian shrimp export is a tiny slice of the global market. Shrimps and prawn export. There are some items of export that many people are not very familiar with. But what's interesting about this export item is that they have very huge global demand. And a very good example of that is shrimp and prawns. This is beside fish. So you can imagine what is happening in the seafood sector. Besides fish and a number of other seafood, just shrimps and prawn. To have an idea of what demand is having in the world, do you know that the global demand for shrimps is more than cocoa? Global demand for shrimps is more than cashew. Global demand for shrimps is more than ginger. It's more than sesame. It's more than many agro commodity we export from Nigeria. Global demand for shrimps. The global demand for shrimp is about $25 billion. Can you imagine that? It's that. Where you combine global demand for cocoa, for cashew, for ginger, for sesame seed together, global demand for only shrimps is more than it. This is why I think shrimp should be given a good consideration. The interesting thing is, and remember the product I talked about whenever I talk about my contemplation every morning. Most of the product I talk about when I talk about my contemplation every morning, most of the product are product that Africans are exporting, Nigerians are exporting. So it's not a product we cannot export, including manufactured goods we'll be talking about later on. It's not a product we cannot export. It's a product we're already exporting. What we've just not done is to be able to harness it. And there are 2 countries that dominate that market. In fact, only 3 countries contribute about 61%. 61%. In fact, 2 countries ship more than 50% of the 25 billion. Just imagine that. Now, of this 25 billion demand, 2 countries are shipping more than 50%. 3 countries are shipping about 61%. So out of this $25 billion shipment, 32% Ecuador, 32% Ecuador, South America. Then far in Asia, 20% India, 20% India, 9% Vietnam, 9% Vietnam. So you have Ecuador, 32%, India, 20%. Those 2 countries already do 52% of global demand for shrimps and prawns. And Vietnam adding 9%, together they are doing 61%. But guess the volume of export that Nigeria is doing? 0.3%. That's about $65 million. 0.3%. 0.3%, less than 1%. And we can do a lot more than this. So my contribution this morning is to check what is it that Ecuador and India have done. Because you don't need to reinvent the wheel, right? If someone else have done it, just copy and paste. And by the way, the major buyer of this product are 2 countries. Who are the 2 countries that buy shrimps and prawns? China, United States. 51% China, United States 23%. 23%. So 51% from 2 countries. China is 28%, United States 23%. So China, United States is taking more than half, at least half of the demand in the world. So if you are looking at the exporting, these are 2 markets you want to consider. But my interest, anytime I talk about this, I'm asking myself as I contemplate on this every day, why is it that Nigeria, even though it's exporting this item, is not able to scale in a way that these other countries have been able to do? In a way that these other countries have been able to do. I will start with what Ecuador is doing, and I will round off with what India is doing. Ecuador, number 1, is practicing sustainable aquaculture practice. We are in the era of sustainability. There are some countries that will not buy from you if your product is not environmentally sustainable. Some countries will not buy from you. They're not interested in your product because you are doing business, but you are destroying the environment. So Ecuador has implemented a strict regulation to promote sustainable shrimp farming, ensuring environmental protection. They also don't joke with quality control. They have high quality standard in the seafood processing and export sector. They ensure that the product meets international requirements. And they have diverse range. They don't just do shrimps and prawn. They do fish, they do shellfish and many others. But more importantly is the fact that they build export infrastructure for this product. Let me give you an example. A number of seafood are exported with cold chain. Cold chain. They are exported frozen. They are exported frozen. They are exported frozen. Because they are exported frozen, what that has done for this country is that because they are exported frozen, what that has done for this country is that it has helped. What they have done in this country is that they've been able to build export infrastructure to be able to easily move it via the cold chain and logistics from wherever it's produced down to the port, seaport, ship by sea, airport, ship by air, and keep it in optimal condition as it gets to destination market. Strong export infrastructure, and they've had different agreements also. Countries that they know are major buyer, they have agreement with them to enhance their market access, to reduce tariff in those countries. And they don't joke with brand and marketing. Brand and marketing. Why? The idea basically is to position themselves as a major exporter of this product in the world. They also have done traceability, so that when there are issues, it's easy to be able to know where the problem is coming from. The government works closely with local fishermen to promote sustainable fishing techniques. And government also is involved in training. Let me go to India before I round up. India employs various aquaculture practices, including fresh and saltwater farming, to maximize the potential of this sector. They also focus a lot on quality. But there is a government initiative that promotes this scheme, government subsidized aquaculture development. Government subsidized aquaculture development. Why? Because there's so much money to be made here, by the way. So much money to be made. So they subsidize aquaculture development by improving also infrastructure in this sector. There's continuous research and training. In fact, one thing that India is doing differently is the cooperative model. Formation of cooperative among the smallholder farmers that are in this sector, ensuring better sharing of resources and also access to market. They also emphasize seafood processing, developing capability, adding value to raw product, and expanding export opportunity. And they don't just focus on one market, there's diversification of the market. You will notice something about these two countries. The government involvement in supporting, there must be a deliberate effort. In fact, if there is one sector I know is not given attention in Nigeria, it's the seafood. It's the seafood. I don't get to hear a lot about this, even though it's farming, but it's the seafood. It's a Greek sector, but I don't get to hear. Maybe now we have livestock. Maybe we'll be able to hear more about it, Ministry of Livestock Development. But we don't get to hear a lot about this. But the reason I need to highlight it is to show that, look, this sector have a huge opportunity. And I'm not just talking about fish. Maybe some other time I'll talk about fish. I'm only focusing on shrimps and prawn this morning. And the demand for just these two products is $25 billion. And the country that you see that is doing a lot in that space, they are not doing it by chance. No. And what I've discovered about many countries that are growing export, you can see deliberate effort to grow export. Deliberate effort to grow export. Thank God for what NEPC is doing. I mean, yesterday I did a video on the fact that CEFA is now allowed as export proceed repatriation into Nigeria, which is good. But this is also highlighting other area I think NFC also need to work on. There's so much money to be made in this space. There's a lot being done to support SME for quality, which is very good, very good, very good. But if they are being supported for quality for export development, we should not joke with export readiness. Export quality product development is just one sector of export readiness, and that's under quality, under product. The product quality, just one out of about 15 area of export readiness. So it's important not to leave the other area unattended to, so that there can be holistic development. So that's why I say I commend the effort of NPC helping with quality development for the small businesses, and also ensuring we have other way of repatriating export proceed with SEFA account, export proceed now being approved by CBN. But more importantly is to ensure these exporters are export ready. Thank you very much. This is my contemplation this morning. See you in the next video, and bye for now.